All right, welcome everybody. We are delighted to be here today. Hello and welcome to the Children in All Policies 2030 session at the Learning Planet Festival 2024. We're delighted to be here. My name is Sarah Stellini, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm project manager at CAP-2030. Today I'm delighted to introduce Adi, Peek, Natalie, Kamari, Nyung, and Salika from our Youth Advisory Board, who will be discussing their ideas on transforming child health through policy, along with my colleague Gabby Matthews. But first, some quick housekeeping. Firstly, just to remind everybody that we are being recorded, and secondly, just to ask you to kindly mute yourselves while the presentations are taking place. But of course, you are welcome to share your thoughts via the reaction button and the chat function while the presentations are going on. There will be a chance to ask questions to the panel members and the presenters right at the end through the Q&A session, and we will guide you accordingly. As always, we'd love to see your faces, so if you feel happy to switch your camera on, please do, but we understand if you feel uncomfortable, there's no pressure to do so. As always, please act in a respectful manner when you're making comments and vice versa. And my colleague Beth will be adding some helpful links in the chat space as we go along if there's anything that interests you and you want to look into it further. Okay, now that that is done, I'd like to tell you a little bit about us briefly. So who are we exactly? Children in All Policies, or CAP-2030, is a global collaboration that works to centre children's health and well-being in all policies. We implement the recommendations of the WHO, UNICEF and Lancet Commission by promoting children's rights and protecting their health through science, advocacy and coalition building. Our secretariat, that's the group that we're part of, and the group that steers the activities of CAP, we're based at the Institute of Global Health at University College London in the UK. Next slide, please. Okay, so our Youth Advisory Board, we recognise that children's rights need to be heard and involved and influenced in research and policy making in the organisations that represent them. So what we established the Youth Advisory Board, or the YAB for brief, to place children's voices and influence at the heart of everything that we do and our work. Next slide, please. Some of the exciting opportunities, the YAB is made up of 22 young people between the age 13 to 18 years old from 17 countries all around the world. They're all passionate about creating a better future for the world's children. Some of the exciting opportunities we've been involved in the past year is some input into a global policy brief on harmful commercial marketing that will be read by policymakers across the world, and providing feedback on our child and health wellbeing dashboards, something that we've developed with UNICEF and WHO, and it's a tool that allows policymakers to easily monitor and compare global indicators. This year coming up, we've also got some exciting projects, and we're going to be looking at working with experts to identify climate change research priorities in relation to child health, and providing feedback on the new Lancet Commission on racism and child health, which I know is a hot topic with a lot of people. As always, we're also interested in expanding our network and engaging even more young people such as yourselves. So we'd be really interested if you want to reach out to us. We've got various ways of doing so, and we will of course signpost this right at the end, but just to give you a bit of brief, please go and visit our website. The QR code's right here if you want to use your phones briefly. You can contact myself or Bethany, a colleague who works on the Youth Advisory Board. Our email addresses are there, and of course always check our socials or check out our hashtag CAP2030Youth. Okay, so enough of me talking. Let's hand over to the Youth Advisory Board, and I'm going to introduce my colleague, Dr. Gabby Matthews, who'll be chairing the presentations and the discussions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sarah. So our first presentation comes from Adi. So he has actually put together an amazing video. So we're going to watch that, and then he'll introduce himself to you and add anything else he'd like to on the topic. Thanks so much.
Apologies, everyone. We'll just sort out the audio. 1 second. Shall we perhaps lead into the next slides and then come back to the video?
Yeah, we can do, and then we'll come back in a second.
Yeah,
is that all right with you, Adi? I'm sorry.
Sorry, was it still? Could you still not hear it?
It paused and then cut out.
A shame.
Teams is not feeling that accommodating today.
No,
So
in
that case, Peak, the next presentation was actually going to be from you or Beth. If you've got your slides, yeah. Should we go straight into Peak? So Peak, if you're ready, just want to introduce yourself. Sorry, yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
Sorry, hi, my name is Peak. I'm 16 years old and currently studying in the first year of sixth form. So today I'll be presenting about the policies that would help improve child health and well-being. Next slide. So the first policy is to make physical activity mandatory in school. So I've noticed that after COVID, many people stopped physical exercise. So it could be because during lockdown, fitness centers and gyms were closed down, and then people's gym routine were disrupted. And then they got used to their new life routine, which doesn't include physical exercise. So, but exercise is necessary in order to become healthy. So it's been proven that exercise reduces the risk of children having obesity, and it improves the immune system of children and reduces stress and also improve quality of sleep. So, and team sports also help allow children to socialize and make more friends. So I believe that creating a healthy lifestyle for the children now would most likely result in a lifelong habit of healthy lifestyle in the future. Next slide. So the second policy is to make healthcare accessible for everyone. So this includes mandatory checkups and vaccinations, therapy for mental health. So this is to prevent chronic diseases that could result in more cost in the future. This could also be linked with the attendance rate and the learning competency at school. Next. So the third policy is that meals at school should pass a set of standard of being a healthy meal. So a healthy diet includes 50% of fruits and vegetables, 25% of carbohydrates, and 25% of meat and other form of proteins. So because I feel that children this age needs nutrients to grow, and also to provide them with enough energy to be able to focus and stay alert all day. So this also helps with maintaining a strong immune system. The fourth policy is oral health. Oral health is often looked over by many people, but could actually lead to severe problems such as tooth loss in the future. So students, especially around the age of 6, when their permanent teeth is starting to develop, it makes dental care even more important. So the oral health is also connected to the overall health with the body. So I feel that it's very important to take care of the oral health. Okay. The last policy is to provide community recreation centers around the residence area. So it includes sport facilities, summer programs, and also volunteering opportunities. So I feel that this could improve child's physical health and social skills, and also would reduce stress and strengthen the bond between parents and children. I hope that this presentation would have something valuable to improve the child's health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peak. That was a really great presentation and really clear as well. I think we're going to try and come back to Ardi's video now, if that's possible.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. Let me just
No, don't worry.
make sure it comes up.
Ardi, while we're loading your video, do you want to just introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a bit about your background?
Yep. Hi. I think my wife has background.
No, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm Adi. Hi, I'm Adi. I'm 18 years old. I'm interested in a variety of things, and so for like context to the video, so my mother's a doctor, and a lot of people in my family are also doctors. So they tried to kind of coax me into the field. Like, you should also become a doctor. I'm like, no, sorry, I can't do that. So then I was like, okay, to compensate, perhaps policy is a way out. So I was thinking about things that work out, and something like, so I was really fascinated with Cuba's program of preventative medicine and healthcare. So which is why this idea came to fruition. So that's a little bit of context for it, and I'll take it up after the video.
Thanks so much, Adi. Thanks, Beth.
Hi, my name is Adi Sadesai. I'm from India. I'm 18 years old and I'm currently pursuing my undergraduate program. My project is on preventive healthcare. The problem that I've decided to focus on is the issue of preventable vector-borne diseases, such as malaria and dengue, causing seasonal disruptions in healthcare systems, one, overburdening them, and two, diverting away essential resources from those who need it. This also has another problem within itself, that being that children find themselves at the highest risk because they're always near sites of infections, such as near parks or near water bodies or on their way to school. What then is the solution? I think the solution also lies with children. If national governments across the board can institute a policy wherein which for all of their national curriculum, children are required to either raise awareness about such diseases or have activities wherein which they go out and clear stagnant water from their areas or put up posters in their buildings, and these become graded components, children will not only learn about these issues, but the general awareness that is brought up and the action that is taken through these programs will help curb this problem by a bit.
Thank you so much, Adi, both for introducing that video and for putting together all that content. That was really great. Next, we're going to come to Natalie. We're just going to get your slides up, Natalie.
Can you see them?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Just to preface really quickly, I am a little bit feeling under the weather, so I might cough a bit during this presentation. But yeah, I'm Natalie Ng from Hong Kong. I'm 18 years old, and I'm also going to be talking about preventative healthcare. Next slide, please. Oh, that's just, yeah. Okay, so the problem I'm going to be focusing on is scoliosis. That photo that I have up there is a photo of an X-ray that I took 3 years ago. So as you can see, there are some like really big deviations in my spine. And that's because I have scoliosis, which is a very common problem. It affects around 2 to 3% of the population. And most of the people affected are children from the ages of 10 to 15. However, prior to my diagnosis, I had little to no awareness of this issue at all, which meant that I was undiagnosed for a very long time, which allowed my scoliosis to become very severe. And that meant that I required surgical treatment once I found out. And even though I eventually recovered, my family was very aware that things could have been easier if I had been screened earlier. And so I wanted to share this specific problem because if preventive healthcare policies are put into place, people can prevent undergoing invasive and painful surgery. So next slide, please. Yeah, that's just post-surgery, the photo. And the problem is a very urgent one because it can impact a lot of factors in quality of life, and it's also a condition that gets worse with puberty. So it gets worse with time, if not closely monitored. So the solution framework is, there are like 3 main steps. First of all, awareness, because I had no awareness. That's why it allowed my condition to get to a quite severe state. So once awareness reaches those who need it, they can get diagnosed, which means that they are able to undergo treatment and have various forms of treatment that are less invasive and better for patient health. Next slide, please. So the policy that I'd like to put into place is, first of all, to have accessible preventive healthcare services. Where I come from, Hong Kong, this is actually pretty accessible. We have a free screening system. However, the problem is just that not a lot of people know about them, but I do think that having the system in place is very, very valuable. So having accessible preventive healthcare services would mean ensuring universal access to preventive healthcare services for all youth, regardless of socioeconomic status or insurance coverage. And it would be also nice to collaborate with healthcare providers, schools, and community organizations to establish youth-friendly clinics and health centers that offer a range of preventive services. And comprehensive health screenings should also be put into place. So I actually went to a few of these schools in Hong Kong to offer free screenings, and this means that having routine health screenings for the youth that are range from a bunch of different services like postural screenings to like physical examinations, vision and hearing services. That means that all these common youth health issues can be mitigated from a younger age. And then I'd also like to have comprehensive health education promotion, so that there are health education programs that cover nutrition and physical activity and postural issues and all that are integrated into schools so that students can receive consistent and accurate information. And yeah, that's my presentation. So thank you. And yeah, I hope that was valuable.
That was great. Thank you so much, Natalie, and for sharing a bit about your story as well, along with your solution. We're now going to come to Kamari.
Hello, could you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Thanks.
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm Komari Machida, a 17-year-old high school student from Japan. And today I wanted to discuss the topic of mental health in schools and what can be improved based on data and my personal experiences going through school. Next slide, please. Currently, according to WHO, 1 in 7 adolescents worldwide experience mental health issues, with depression, anxiety, and behavioral disorders being the leading causes. In my country, Japan, the number of people under 20 with one or more mental illnesses increased from 117,000 in 1999 to 276,000 in 2016, which is more than double what it used to be. It is estimated that 1 in 5 adolescents is going through mental health struggles, which is about 40% higher than the global average. From surveys, next slide, please. From surveys and personal experiences, many adolescents who are not recorded in these data experience mental health issues, but they simply do not report it. This is because many regions and schools still have a heavy stigma surrounding mental health issues and are not properly equipped to help students establish good wellness habits. Especially in junior high to high schools where academic stress becomes extremely high, many schools, teachers, parents, and even students themselves push students to overwork instead of promoting a healthy balance between life and studying. This leads to burnout, depression, and anxiety for students. I have a policy recommendation to improve the situation, and it has 2 branches. Next slide, please. First and most importantly, there must be school counselors in every school. This is the most basic step. However, even if counselors are there, the stigma surrounding mental health or getting help might prevent students from reaching out, which was the case for me personally. Therefore, I recommend these school counselors book a short meeting with every student in the school if possible, and at least those who want it, through a survey at least every term to ensure that the act of seeking help in schools is normalized. Next slide, please. Secondly, there must be widespread education for teachers and school officials regarding mental health awareness and treatment. A lot of teachers operate on an outdated idea that mental health problems are less serious than physical sicknesses, and that students should just power through them when this is not the case at all. This belief prevents students from opening up to their teachers about their struggles in the fear that they will be seen as less than or weak. To prevent students from dealing with their issues alone and worsening them until they become fatal or serious, this destigmatization must happen as soon as possible. Mental health education for teachers will equip teachers to be more accepting and supportive towards students and offer or perhaps direct them to appropriate mental health services. Mental health issues, if not addressed early, may become a lifelong struggle for so many young people. Actions must be taken as soon as possible to ensure their and the future generation of children's well-being. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Kamari. That was really clear and yeah, very well presented. So thank you for that and your really clear idea going forward. We now have our final video, which is from Salika, which I think is ready to play already, unless you wanted to introduce yourself before the video starts, or would you like to come in after, Salika? What would you prefer?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. So, 16 years old. I'm originally from the north of Pakistan, from Hunza, and I'm currently living in France, and I hope you enjoy my video.
Hello everybody, my name is Salika Amin and I'm 16 years old and I'm also part of the Youth Advisory Board. The issue that I propose a solution for is the transmission of intergenerational poverty. The intergenerational transmission of poverty often refers to the tendency for economic disadvantages to persist across generations. Older generations pass on various capitals, including financial, human, cultural, social, and symbolic capitals, influencing the opportunities and choices available to the next generation. Household resources, especially in poorer families, significantly impacts a child's opportunities and life choices, from education to career paths. To be able to break the transmission of intergenerational poverty, our focus needs to be the youth, by enabling them to receive relevant skills that can support them to not just earn for themselves, but also their parents and their future children by supporting them in receiving quality education. Breaking the cycle of intergenerational poverty extends beyond structural interventions, relying on the agency and resilience of young individuals in responding to opportunities. To address this, I propose the creation of an application and website that is designed to facilitate education for financially disadvantaged students. The platform would include a database of students seeking funding, featuring individual profiles with personal stories, family details, and their economic situation. A rigorous verification system would require supporting documents and cross-verification with educational institutions. Donors can view profiles and choose students for direct sponsorship, establishing a tangible link between the sponsor and the beneficiary, with also the ability to monitor their progress. The system will aim to guarantee transparency and security in all online transactions. This solution not only tackles structural aspects, but empowers individuals to actively contribute to breaking the cycle of poverty through education.
Thank you so much. So that is all of our presentations and videos. And as you can see, we have a very wide variety of topics. So I know a few of you, so Natalie and Adi, you both mentioned why you chose your topics, but I wondered if Kamari, Peak or Salika, you wanted to talk a bit more about why you focused on the topic you presented today. And of course, Adi and Natalie, if you have anything to add, please jump in. I want to kick us off.
I will then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think I can. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I chose, the topic of mental health in schools, and that's because I, in my junior high and high school years, I struggled with depression and anxiety, going to a Japanese school, and it was very competitive and academically rigorous. And there were just there was heavy stigma around mental health, and teachers were not very educated. They weren't understanding at all, and they were just pretty much not accommodating. So that's why I kind of struggled a lot, and it's a big problem in Japan. Our youth suicide rates are pretty high. I think it's like top 5 in the world, or something. But yeah, we have a very very significant mental health problem, and I know that it is, my experience is strictly just in Japan, but I know that across the world, a lot of youth are struggling with mental health issues, from academic pressure, academic stress, and within schools. So that's why I chose this topic.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and also for articulating your solutions so clearly before. It's definitely something that in the UK, when I've been working on projects, we hear a lot about young people that are struggling here as well, so it's definitely not unique to Japan. Salika or Peak, did you want to add anything about why you chose your topics?
Okay, so the topic of this year is because I used to have a friend, and she often got sick, so it was like really hard for her to catch up with the work at school and also coping with her health condition. So that's why I thought it was really important to her, like learning tips at school.
Thank you so much, Peak. I think also you had a really broad presentation. It's really helpful because often in health, we think just of health, but the way you focus on nutrition and activities and that broader aspect of health is really important when you're young, and we often forget about that. Salika, I could see you were just about to unmute.
Yeah, so the reason I decided to talk about intergenerational poverty is simply because I think poverty is a very, very broad topic. It's also one of the first SDGs. So I just think the topic of poverty, but also kind of coming up with a solution to a problem, I think is very important, especially going towards the root of the problem rather than talking about it on a very broad scale. So, and my main focus is education and the youth. So persistent poverty across generations can result in a significant portion of the population facing economic challenges. So breaking that cycle of poverty can contribute to a more skilled and productive workforce, for fostering kind of economic growth and stability. That is also addressing this issue is essential for promoting social equity. It ensures that individuals, regardless of their family background, regardless of anything like that, have equal opportunities to access education, healthcare, and economic resources that fosters a more just and inclusive society. And this poverty often also correlates with poor health outcomes, which is, I think, one of the main topics that we're talking about here is talking about how we can make policies that improve child health. So breaking this cycle can also improve access to education, healthcare, nutrition, and overall well-being for individuals and families, leading to healthier and more resilient communities. One, I also touched upon this, but I think education is really a key aspect on if we're talking about children and if we're talking about health. So it also contributes more towards a personal growth and societal progress. So yeah, this is one of the reasons, multiple reasons why I chose to talk about intergenerational poverty, simply because of its interconnectedness with so many other things, and especially with children's health.
That's really powerful. Thank you so much, Salika. And one thing that really hit for me is that a few of your presentations mentioned building that relationship with someone else, whether that's with counselors or in your example, Salika, with the donor. And it's how that interconnectedness really plays in both in different factors, but also in our relationship with others. Adi and Natalie, did you want to add anything? I feel like I took that opportunity away from you, but if you didn't want to add anything in your presentation, I might come to my next question. Is that all right? Okay, so the next question I had was about the Sustainable Development Goals that Salika's just mentioned. And I was wondering if there was one in particular that you thought most requires our focus now, or that you'd most want us to focus on, and why. Adi, I might come to you, if that's all right, first, to start us off.
Yeah, am I audible? I hope I am.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think I think Salika also just said this. I think it's the first SDG, right? No poverty. So I think that is the big goal that we should focus on, because like Salika mentioned and like everybody said, that the basic need is that you should have the choice, or you should have the access to it. And if you're poor, if you're deprived of resources, then you don't have the choice to start with. And if that's taken away, then that restricts how you can live life itself. I think no poverty should be, the first goal we focus on. But again, the thing is, so throughout my wherever my interests are, I've seen that poverty often gets counted just in terms of how many calories you take in, or do you just have this much amount of income. So that can't definitions of poverty can't be that narrow. They need to be more multidimensional aspect. As in, do you go to social gatherings? How included are you? Do you have is there also intellectual poverty, in the sense that do you not have resources to stimulate yourself? Can you have recreational activities, and so on and so forth? So a multidimensional look at poverty, I think, will first allow us, once we break that, then it's easier to work towards all the other goals that we require. So yeah, I think that's the big thing for me.
Thanks so much, Adi. Peek, I might come to you next, if that's all right. Did you have any thoughts on which SDG you think most requires our focus?
I think poverty is also one, and also quality education. I feel like these two topics are quite closely linked together. So I feel like both of them could be the foundation to a better, more sustainable improvement in general.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's a bit of an unfair question, as you'll imagine, because loads of the SDGs are really, really interlinked. So me asking you to pick just one isn't that fair, but thank you so much, Peek. Next, Natalie, I might come to you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point that everyone else made, because I do agree that the SDGs are all very intertwined and interconnected, and that improvement in any one of the SDGs does help support improvement in all of the SDGs. In my presentation, I obviously talked about goal number 3, I believe, better health and well-being. And I think that one's really important because it's so integral in bettering anyone's like quality of life, and it can really empower someone to achieve better economic status or just achieve better in their life in general. But yeah, like I said, all of them are so intertwined that yeah, they all support each other.
Thanks so much, Natalie. Next, I think I'll come to Kamari.
This is a very difficult question because I think they're kind of all equally very important. But I think what's the most important really differs based on the country or the region that we're talking about. Because for, I mean, I personally think that, number 1, no poverty, and number 13, climate action are the most important ones. That's because it pretty much affects all countries and, pretty much all countries around the world suffer from this. So that's why I choose it. But I also think I presented on number 3 and number 17, partnerships for the goals, and also, good health and well-being. But that's because I live in a very developed country, which is Japan. So we don't really have, severe problems of poverty or hunger. And that's why I presented on that. But I think, what we should work on really differs based on the situation and the country and just the policies surrounding each goals.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kamari. Salika, did you have an SDG in mind?
Yeah, I mean, might be a bit biased because my presentation was on poverty, but I think that's one of the reasons why I presented on intergenerational transmission of poverty, because simply I think it's a very, very important SDG, because I think as a society, people living in the world, I think we're getting too caught up in, improving, let's say, I mean, I understand these are very, very, very important things around the world, but things like promoting decent work or growing the economy, being more productive, being more innovative, are being prioritized over basic needs such as poverty or getting, quality education. So I think as a society, if we need to kind of go towards kind of a more sustainable and more hopeful future, we need to make sure that everybody's on the same level to do so. And so to be able to do that, we need to come and talk towards and talk about and find solutions towards very basic, issues that are affecting millions and millions of people and that are restricting so many people. And that's why I truly believe that SDG 1, which is no poverty, is very important, and I'm very passionate about different solutions and how we can make it better. And one of the reasons why I also presented my video on no poverty.
Thanks so much, Salika. I think you've also really well articulated, both like all the speakers have, about the diversity of how you can consider poverty and measure it. And I think we often, like especially in the UK, when we talk about poverty, we're very one-sided about it, and it might be that people don't have access to food, and that's as far as we think about. But thinking about it in the broader sense is really important. The next question I had, which I've told you I was going to ask you actually, was about how you might encourage other children and young people to get involved in influencing health policy, or how you came to be involved with CAP-2030 or Kids for SDGs, and what you'd recommend to other young people, whether they're just thinking about topics or they're facing challenges themselves, like Natalie spoke about. I might go backwards, so the opposite order that I just went. So Salika, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first thing I would recommend young people or people my age is starting as early as you possibly can. I think the earlier you start, and the older you get, the more kind of experience you gain from starting so early. And to be able to do that, I think starting locally where you are in your local community is very important. So whether that's volunteering for a local project that's going on, or starting your own project, starting small, I think is always a great idea. And when you volunteer for projects at a really young age, and you include yourself in these projects, it kind of directs you and gives you a better understanding of what truly ignites a passion in you. That leads on to my main point, which is passion. I think it's really so fundamentally important that people understand that passion is kind of the driving force for a lot of people, and finding that passion at a young age through kind of including yourself in different projects is very important, especially that was the case for me as well. So, and I also believe in the law of attraction. So whatever, I mean, similar things attract each other, right? So when you have a really kind of strong passion or will towards doing something or achieving something or making a difference or contributing to a change, I think opportunities that allow you to accomplish that kind of come to you. And I think it's also a matter of looking for these opportunities, because there are many opportunities in the world, whether that's CAP-2030, whether that's, you know, projects like Model UN or other projects around the world that enable the youth to kind of voice themselves. I think it's a matter of looking for themselves, reaching out, and truly kind of immersing yourself in an environment where your passion can flourish and that you yourself can grow as a person, and at the same time reach your goal to make a change or contribute to make a difference.
Thanks so much, Salika. Kamari, I might come to you next.
Salika covered it pretty well. So I'm just gonna like elaborate a bit more, and I'll just kind of talk about, you know, how these passions get formed. So, you know, I was always also very, very interested in policy or politics from a very young age, and that's because I was watching the news every day right after school, and I was really watching it. It was one of my favorite things to do. But basically, I think just familiarizing yourself with things around the world, like the news is a great outlet, because like they are talking about many different issues locally and also around the world. And for me, the thing that really made me kind of, you know, interested in taking action is kind of thinking about what like makes me feel something. So for example, like I did something on, you know, for CAP-30 about, you know, like harmful marketing for children, and the reason why I got passionate about it was because I felt really angry after seeing a commercial, right? And I think just being kind of aware of like what makes you feel something really strong, and just kind of asking yourself like how why does that make me feel this way, or like what caused me to feel this way, right, is really important. Kind of identifying your interests and your passions, and also, you know, like Salika said, you know, reaching out to, you know, local communities. Like there are a lot of like places like that I've, you know, discovered recently that really value, you know, youth opinions, and you have to kind of just look a bit deeper, and just around, you know, like communities or like, you know, associations that kind of work on, you know, policy development for children. But I think, you know, there are many, you know, institutions that do that. So I think just looking at those big institutions that you might not think, you know, you're accepted, but you are accepted. They actually value your opinion. So, you know, kind of reaching out to them, or just kind of, you know, familiarizing yourself with the things that they do and thinking about how you can contribute. And then, you know, actually reaching out is actually very helpful. And, you know, it was the way I kind of, you know, started with policy. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kamari. I'm gonna come to Natalie next.
Yeah, everyone made really good points. At risk of repeating some of them, I was just gonna say as well that it's really important to find issues that you really care about and are passionate about. Things that are really personal to you are going to drive you to want to advocate for those causes. It's important to identify those things and go in a direction where you won't sort of run out of steam. And that way, like, that's how you really enact real change. And I think also something I found, not only in my scoliosis advocacy work, but just like all advocacy work in general, is like getting really involved in these communities, like making connections with people. That's been really important to me to really be able to evaluate like impact. And I think connecting with people is a big motivator for me, to see like how I can help a certain community. Even though I am an introvert, I think that like once I really get to making those connections, my passion for these things can grow even stronger, which really drives my advocacy work forward. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thanks so much, Natalie. Next, I'm going to come to Peak, and then Adi will come to you.
So I think the very important things is like to try and explore like many different things so that you can know what you like and what you enjoy doing and what you have passion for. And then maybe after that, then like you can do some research because you might not know that there are like people out there having similar interests and having like the same having passion for similar things. So I think working as a group and like being being with people with the same passion would allow you to go even further. Yep.
Thanks so much. Both Peak, you and Natalie both picked up on that thing of finding people you share common ground with, and I guess that support you can also get from people that have been through something similar if you've from a similar background. Adi.
Yeah, I think everybody's almost covered everything there is to be here. So just two things. One is read as much as you can to read it in depth, because once you know what's going on, you can add your own spin to it, right? Because the philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. And on the changing it part of it, get on the ground, join a protest, join a group. Don't just restrict yourself to, online, collective building and action. Like, yes, showing solidarity is important, but there also needs to be material action behind it. So, like, don't restrict yourself to just writing a post here or sharing an infographic there. Materialize it to something else. Go get out with your friends on the street and tell people, oh my God, guys, this is wrong. We need to work on this. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks so much, Adi. All of your passion is so clear when all of you speak. I know some of you have said that you're introverts, that you don't want to, but I guess because it's something you're really passionate about, you're really confident speakers, and it's lovely. So now we're going to come to some quick fire questions, which I also want our audience, if possible, to answer into the chat. So the first question, and we have slides just so it's a bit easier to kind of hear and see the question at the same time, is I just want one word answers for these. And the very first one we have is health is. Oh. Yeah. So I'm going to come backwards again through the five of you. And I just love your one word answer. And then, yeah, I've got two more for you after this. So Adi, do you want to kick us off? How would you complete that sentence?
Everything. Health is everything.
Thank you, Adi. That is exactly what we wanted to hear. Next up, Peak, Natalie, and then Natalie.
I think this is pretty hard. Maybe health is passion.
Thank you, Peak. Natalie?
A little bit of a cheater answer, but I'd like to say number one.
Wow. Okay, we'll accept it. And then Kamari.
Health is prosperity.
Lovely. Very much links to SDG1. And Salika.
I would say priority. Health is always the number one priority.
Okay. Thank you. So then the next question is, and this is a bit more personal, is what is the biggest influence on your health day to day? I'm going to go backwards through that group. So Salika, I'm going to come to you.
This is a really good question. I think my biggest influence on my health would be, I think, my family, in terms that my family has a lot of genetic health problems, whether that's like diabetes or, different health problems. So I think, and also smoking is a big problem in my family. So I think seeing that from a young age kind of made me self-aware about those problems and also the health risks that those kind of habits and actions entail. So I think that in a very positive light, I see it, because it really did give me a different perspective on health and kind of made me more self-aware about my health and about others' health. And I think it really kind of gives me like a passion to advocate for better health. Seeing that up close is why I think I advocate for child health as well. how being surrounded from shape your perspective.
Great, thanks, Lika. Kamari, sorry, I keep forgetting my own order.
This is a two-word answer, but probably the internet or my phone.
That really links to what you were saying before about harmful, like the impacts of seeing ads and that infuriating you as well.
Also, just it really messes up my sleep schedule. So yeah,
I can relate to that. Natalie.
Sleep.
Thanks. P, how about you?
I think it's my parents, because they really prioritize physical activity. They try to like encourage me to like do some sports every single day, at least 30 minutes a day, or like just try to do some physical exercise. Yeah.
That's great. They're really setting you up with the best habits. Adi, how about you?
Two things. One is, of course, family for the doctors, and then the other thing is like the second wave of COVID was really bad here. So seeing the consequences of that changes your perspective on health.
Thanks so much. Then the last question, I wonder if we try it that you all type your answer into the chat and post them at the same time, so you can't be influenced by each other at all. So I'm going to ask it, and while I'm asking it, if you don't mind to start typing. So I want you to imagine that you're a health policymaker who's facing a really difficult decision. That can be any decision that you want. What value do you think you should hold onto the strongest? So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to type, and then when we count down from I'll count down from 3 in a second, and then we can hear it. And Beth and Sarah, please also do put your answers in. I'd love to hear them. Okay, we good? So 3, 2, 1. If you want to send them in, and then we can have a readout of all of them. Guys, so much collusion. So the 3 I can see. Oh, the 4 I can see so far. 2 are equality and 2 are equity. I think we're missing a few. I think they're just coming in. Collaboration from Salika. And then I think we're just waiting for Peak and Natalie. Peak and Natalie, if you want to also say yours rather than type them in, go ahead. Peak, should I come to you first?
I wanted to say equality, but then everyone just started typing inequality.
Yeah, sorry. No, equality, I think it's a great answer. That's why loads of people put it. Natalie, you put happiness in just now. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think this is a really difficult question to answer, and I do think equality is the best answer. I agree with that one.
No, I like happiness. I think we often don't see very happy policymakers. They're very run down by the stress of their jobs. So if they were able to be happy as well as focus on equality, I think that would be lovely. I'm going to hand back to Sarah now, but thank you so much for participating and humouring me and answering my questions both verbally and in the chat. So Sarah.
Thank you, Gabby, and thank you to our Youth Advisory Board members. I think we've had a really good discussion there, and it's nice to see a sort of joint up approach from all our different members. A great and interesting discussion. So as before, we'd like to thank you all for being here. We're delighted to host this session. And Beth, if you wouldn't mind showing the slides just to signpost people to where to reach out to if you would like to get in touch with us. Like we said before, we're always interested in hearing from you, and the YAB membership will change and develop over time, so please do reach out, and we'll leave you with that slide. So thank you very much for attending today, and I look forward to hearing from some of you soon. Okay, great.